good. Back on the Hayabusa. Just finishing out this beautiful weekend. Trying to get ahead here a little bit. We're going to Arkansas on the 1st. We got a group riding out there and headed down there for Bike Blues and Barbecue. Super excited about being back in Arkansas on the motorcycle. If you've never been to Northwest Arkansas, you're missing out. I wouldn't call any place else home, probably, other than Kansas. If I was moving, though, that's where I'd want to go. That's God's country. That's beautiful. That's the country roads are all tree lined and curvy, and the views are, it never gets old. I'm gonna definitely be recording. I don't know that I'll be doing any filming for a vlog down there, but we'll definitely get some B-roll and maybe add some of that in when we get back into town. I don't know. I don't really know how far into the editing I want to get into. It's getting quicker and easier the more I do it, so maybe we'll start doing some more fancy stuff. I don't know. I feel like that kind of takes from it. So, leave me a comment. What do you think? Is what I'm doing good enough, or should I do some more? I want it to be real, no matter what. Whenever I upload it, it's got to be full of emotion and real. So, I think today we're going to talk about marketing of sorts. Getting involved in being a face and being in public and building relationships before a sale. I think that it's a very underrated thing. For instance, I sponsor all sorts of stuff, and I don't ever expect a return on it, right? My goal is, with that sponsorship, to maintain my name in front of the same kinds of people all across the board, and I want them to see me supporting those events by dropping money towards a sponsorship. And so eventually they see my name enough, and they see my name tied to good causes and things that I support regardless, right? At the end of the day, if I wasn't sponsoring them as a business, I'd be going and donating money to them or whatever, whatever, because I support the cause. I recently sponsored my first Little League baseball team. Super cool. Very exciting. I'm not mid to a game, unfortunately, but their games are very weird and it's hard to schedule around for me. So, but yeah, so one of the things that I've been part of for years is our local Cars and Coffee, and now it's called Cars and Cockpits, and there was, the Cars and Coffee. I got Cars and Coffee, unfortunately. If you're familiar, you're familiar. Across the nation, takeovers and things of that nature are everywhere, running rampant. Everybody wants to get that next viral clip of somebody doing a burnout, leaving the event and taking out a crowd or whatever. And so those things are they're everywhere right now. It's the craziest phenomenon. I'm all for a good burnout. I'm all good for a good donut. I love them, but there's a time and a place for it. And leaving somebody's event that they've poured their heart and soul into is certainly not that time or that place. And really largely we don't have a time and a place for it. Well, we don't have a place. So that means we don't have a time, right? But one of the things that I've done is I've gotten very involved with the Cars and Cockpits. And I sponsor it with both of the businesses. I expect nothing in return, right? I love the event. I attend the event. My kids go to the event. My wife goes to the event. We love the event and what it stands for, and the group of people that it brings together. And so this year specifically has been that year, I think, where people are remembering. People are the relationships are being established, and that repertoire is there. And so I've got people that know me that I don't know, and I feel terrible saying that. That's not at all my intention or my goal, but I'm very active in that group on Facebook. I'm very active at the event. I help run the event, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I volunteer my time. I'm there. I'm the first one there every month. I'm generally one of the last ones to leave every month, and I love it. I love every second of it. But what that looks like is, it's been years, right, of spending money on an event, and I've gained nothing from it. I've not gotten a single job for my business. This is the first year I sponsored with both businesses, because I wasn't in business whenever it first came about last year, or whenever sponsorship time was for the 2024 season, right? So it was, but it's I think my 4th year sponsoring with the detail shop, and it's just incredible. It's, people see me, they come talk to me, and we're building those friendships that when they need something, then they reach out. And I think that's the ultimate. Those are the customers that become those lifetime customers that trust you over everybody else. And it takes time to nurture those relationships and nurture those customers. But it makes it so much more worth it. And I can spin up an ad on Facebook, or I don't do Google. I've not figured that one out yet. But I could spin up an ad on YouTube or on Facebook in a matter of minutes, right? I've got the algorithm down. I know what the copy needs to generally look like, what the offer needs to generally look like, and about how much money I need to spend on it per day to see a return. But it's not the same. Those are generally not my customers that I get booked, and they become a headache 90% of the time. And so that headache is hardly worth the money, because I'm going to sweat over a resolution for a customer who I can't make happy no matter what. And those don't feel great. It is what it is. And in business, you're going to have those. But I can minimize those, and it sucks in the meantime. It sucks bad, having to nurture those relationships and foster that friendship. But the reward is so much greater, because you don't have to worry when they schedule their car. I mean, of course you want to do your absolute best job, but you should be shooting for that for every customer that you take a vehicle in for, or you go in their home and provide them a service. You should be providing your best every time, regardless. But your best is going to be good enough, and far exceed probably their expectations, because they trust you. And they know you're not just trying to get in their pockets, because you've spent years getting to know them, and not just them, their family, their friends. While you're nurturing that friendship, you're also nurturing the friendship of everybody else involved. And I know this sounds like it sounds kind of usy, and it feels usy when I say it. Like, I feel like it sounds like I'm using people. That's not at all what I'm doing. I love the customers. I love those relationships. Those relationships are what keep me going. Like fostering those friendships and those relationships with those people, because they're my people. They're my kind of people. We're very like-minded. We get along. We can chat. We can have disagreements, but at the end of the day, we get along. And so most of the people that I consider friends today started that way. In fact, all of them did. I got a message last night from one of the guys, continually, he came over and shook my hand and thanked me yesterday before he left the event, and then he sent me a message late last night thanking me again. That's what it's about, man. That gratitude, that thankfulness. And that guy, he has a collection, and not just his collection, but the people that he surrounds himself with. If he goes somewhere, they go the same place. That's just how that group works, and that's wonderful for me. But at the end of the day, it drives my wife nuts. She's like, you spend all this money sponsoring these events and you get nothing in return. And in the short term, she's absolutely right. That is an absolute fact. I could do better spending money on Facebook or Google than I do, and garner quicker return on investment. But it's not about the short-term ROI, because building a business isn't about the short term. If it was, I'd be just like every other detailer running around this city that is charging $10, an hour essentially, and they're doing full interior exteriors with a ceramic coating for $200. There's no way. And we'll get into the knowing your value. That discussion is it's probably not one I'm best suited to be having, as I struggle keeping firm on that myself. But it's one that's near and dear to my heart, and I take it very personal at this point in my life. I think that everybody should charge fair market value. And what that fair market value is it's just like a Ford dealership, right? They're going to charge me the same thing in California and Florida and Kansas and Texas, and it's the same price everywhere you go. Maybe with an exception, a small exception. Dealer fees may be different, something like that, but minor change in price. Detailers should be doing the same, and most of these detailers work way harder than they should to earn that $10 an hour. And it's just, it's slowly going to destroy the industry, which is fine. But those guys come and go very quickly. I'm sure you see it in your own market, wherever you might be. I assume the majority of you are probably local-ish to me that are watching these videos, but you see it. I see it every month. There's more detailers during the spring, summer, and fall months, and then the winter comes and those guys are gone. They're nowhere to be found, because they quickly realized, oh, I wasn't charging enough. I can go do better at McDonald's. And that's fine. Running a business isn't for everybody, and everybody shouldn't run a business. It takes a certain level of understanding and knowledge and pricing, and you can't price with your emotions or with their pocketbook, with your pocketbook in mind. You have to price accordingly. Anyways, that's a tangent for another day. Back on subject, I could ROI way faster doing the other means of marketing. I could probably ROI faster going and knocking on doors. But are those the kind of people that are going to be lifelong customers? Probably not. The reality is those people are probably going to be a one and done. And then they're going to go look for the next cheapest shop the next time they need it, because they didn't see the value in what I provided, and that's okay. But these long-term relationships that are built, those people continue to see the value for years to come. And they bring me one, and then they'll bring me the next and the next, and they see the value in what I do. And by being a part of all of these events for multiple years, they recognize me. They recognize the name. They recognize the business. And so they know that I'm not just some fly-by-night that's going to be gone tomorrow. Kind of like hail companies, or roofers. They just chase a storm. That's cool. A lot of detailers do just chase a season. And so that's why I feel so strongly about the way that I approach it versus the way that others approach it. And that's, everybody, different strokes for different folks, right? Like, if it's working for you, keep at it, please. But don't sleep on those long-term relationships, those long-term friendship customers, because those are the ones that are going to keep food on your table for a long, long time. And they're going to do it without making your life hell every time you touch their vehicle. And that's so important. I guess it should be so important to you. It shouldn't feel like work. If you're doing what you love to do, it shouldn't feel like a job. And so when I'm out there building these relationships, I'm having breakfast with the guys that, 2 years ago wouldn't have invited me to their table just because they didn't know me. And now they look forward to seeing me every month. They go out of their way to come and say hello to me, instead of me having to go and initiate it. And I go and initiate it often. And most of them see me as they're parking their cars in the field, or not in the field, well, in the grass at the event, because I'm the one who's checking them in, or one of the ones checking them in. But if I'm not the one checking them in the lot that they're in, they come find me. They look for me to come say hi, because we've built that relationship. And in my humble opinion, relationships are what make business great. If you aren't building relationships with your customers by constant communication, by consistently checking in on them, by consistently being where they are, you're losing them. And we just did a big event, one of the biggest car shows in the area. It's called Automobilia. Super cool car show, been running forever. I'm good friends with the guy who runs it, and this year was the first year they had an indoors area, and it's in the middle of summer. It's an all-day thing, and I couldn't ask my family to come and sit with me all day out in the heat, but I knew that it wasn't something I could do by myself. And so this year, as soon as I found out it was air conditioned, I was in. And we had a booth set up. I had my mechanic there, and my wife and my kids, and they were helping pass out armbands and gift certificates that had a 10% off a service, things like that. And I had so many people just stop to say, hey, customers, people that I've built that relationship with that haven't become a customer because they haven't had the need yet, whatever it is. But so many of those people came by and said, hey, earned a few customers from that day. They happened to see some of my work advertised in the show and came and seeked me out, which was cool. That's always a really cool feeling, right? But that's not normal to get a return on an investment day one. So I think that short game is important too, because you have to keep food on the table. You're going to have to deal with those customers, and it's okay to build slowly while also going the other route. And I do it. If it gets real slow, I'll throw up a quick Facebook ad and book out a couple of weeks and get some money flowing in, and then we'll go back to no Facebook for a while. You can't go without, right? There's overhead, there's needing to keep food on a table. And so obviously we can't get away from that entirely. But in the meantime, you need to be building those long games. You've got to play the long game too, because you can't survive forever being miserable doing what you love, because then you'll quit loving what you do. And that's not a place I want to be. That's not some place I want to be, and that's kind of where I've been. And so this weekend was a really good recharge for me, having those conversations and getting that personal message, after the gentleman seeked me out in the group, as we were working on a surprise for the guy who originated the show, for his wife that I got to help with, prepping the car for the unveiling and organizing the way that it got there. And so that's cool, right? Like, and that's a friendship that I wouldn't have. And he is a great friend for me. Like, I can talk to him about anything, business. He's a huge supporter of my businesses. He's constantly referring me to people. He's constantly shouting me out. And, that's those relationships. He doesn't necessarily use me every time, but that's okay. He has other friends in the industries that I'm in as well, but he does use me. And when he's not using me, he's throwing my name around like it's candy at a parade, and his friends, the people who he's referring to me, are fantastic customers, and they become friends if they weren't already. And so, those things are irreplaceable. And that friendship has been built over years too. I've been sponsoring his events for 4 years, right? But it's not until the last year and a half that he's kind of invited me to get involved in the event, and seeks me out for assistance. And I've always been willing to help and volunteer my time because I support the event. Even before I started sponsoring the event, because he would only allow one business of each type to sponsor it, which I respect. But even when that was the case, I was still offering my time and expertise, what little expertise I have, I guess. But I was still offering my time to help organize, help get car clubs, help get whatever it was, help with parking, help with making sure people are behaving themselves, which is a whole other topic, which I don't know that it's really on topic for this, although it may be soon, as things are kind of evolving in that cars and cockpits world. But at any rate, play the long game. Don't sleep on the long game. That's probably the more important part of that. Don't sleep on the long game. Build those relationships, get your face out, become a household name. Because if you can't become a household name, you're just another fly-by-night to most people. You're just another recommended detailer that people don't know about. And if they don't know about you, they're not going to call you. And so I think that, above all, that's probably the most important thing, in my opinion, in the marketing game for my businesses, for my service-based businesses. If I was in the home service industry, I'd be hitting up all of these home shows. I'd be at every one of them. My name would be one of the top sponsors at every one of those shows, because that's how you build that household name. And I've got some friends in that industry, and some of them, man, they're crushing it. And it makes me so happy to see them crushing it. And they're crushing it without doing that. Their word of mouth game is strong. And it's because he builds those relationships with his customers that he does have. So he's built those relationships from day one, and those relationships have just kept him fed because his customers refer him to new customers that are like-minded, and that relationship builds and flourishes, and then they send recommendations, and then those relationships, and it's a trickling effect. But it's far from the average experience in the service industry, and it's because of all the bad apples in the industries. So take it for what it's worth, but the long game, if you're in the automotive world, go to the car shows, get involved. Don't just go to them. Don't just go hand out flyers or put flyers in people's seats. Go meet people. Go talk to them about their cars. Get to know them and who they are and what they're about, what they love, what they don't love. get involved in the actual event and volunteer your time to be part of the event, to help make it what it is, because guess what those people love? They love that event. And so they want to support people who support what they love. It's human nature, right? If somebody's doing something I like or helping something that I like, I'm going to be much more apt to support that person than another person in the same industry that's not doing that. So, those two things alone, getting to know people and being part of something that they enjoy and look forward to and brings them happiness besides the thing that you're trying to get in your hands, right? Do it, get in parades in your local community if you really want to strive to have that small town local support base from a small town like my small town. If my business was in my small town, that's bread and butter. If you're not getting involved in your local little league teams and your whatever it is, you're messing up, because those people support the people who support those things. So I'm a big proponent of that. But yeah, that's kind of it on that. I could ramble on and on all day about this topic. It's very near and dear to my heart at this point. It's how I'm surviving, and it was fresh on the mind. I've got to play a little catch up here this week. I'm going to record another video. I don't know. It's supposed to rain most every day this week, so I don't know when I'm going to get into it for sure, but definitely going to get into another video this week. And I think we're going to dive into a little bit of knowing your worth, like what's worth getting out of bed for and what's not worth getting out of bed for. Again, guys, thank you. This gives me a place to go and just vent, and I couldn't be happier that this last video, or the video before this one, I woke up the next morning after, and I was just looking, and I was like, wow, I got 80 views already. That's more views than all of the other videos combined. So thank you all for watching, supporting. If you haven't subscribed but you like the content, please subscribe. That way you can get those notifications and the reminders. The videos will always go up. I think I've been screwing it up, but I'm trying to get them up at 12:30 Central Standard Time on Fridays. I need to do better about throwing some shorts up, but I haven't had any great hot takes that I feel like are stellar. So maybe we'll find some. But yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next one.